Hi there, welcome to Island Fly. No, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. I have another channel called I Alone Fly Tarot, but on this channel we always do the two rows. So the top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. We all have our dualistic nature, and we have to make decisions in our life and our free will. And the more worldly, shadowy nature can just represent how we can be influenced by our more worldly nature, our fear, insecurity, our past pain and heartbreak, our lust, our greed, our lazy nature, lacking some hope and faith and belief in ourselves, can just be afraid of stepping outside of our comfort zone and doing things a little different. And there could be some people debating within themselves right now, and other people could be moving forward differently. Other people decided, I'm good where I'm at. We all, when we kind of get where we're kind of bothered by the way we're living our life, that's when we think about moving forward differently. And people come to that conclusion at different times in their life. Just like when we were 18 or 21 or 25, some people like staying at a certain stage of life. Other people kind of were ready to move forward in life a little differently. And, it's just to accept the truth of it, that sometimes when we're ready to move forward or we don't want to move forward, some other people do. And then we're kind of not on the same page anymore. So, Virgo is earth sign energy, and it can be about kind of our truth and kind of what drives and motivates us at any time in our life. At a core foundational level, though, some people are motivated more by the things of the world. That's our long-term goal, is to either indulge in things because they're sure those are the answer and will make them happy, or really caught up in themselves or the ego or the image or the status of things. High vibe energy is freeing yourself from how those things can manipulate you to such a degree that it kind of stops you from being maybe more balanced within yourself and more having a little more hope and faith and belief and listening to your intuition. And maybe high vibe energy is about being more independent, investing in those things that move your life forward, less manipulated, more equally kind of wanting some of these things in the world, but equally wanting to be in like jobs and friendships and relationships with people that you love and are just and are fair and loving and encouraging. And other people might be willing to sacrifice that in order to have a certain status or image or stay in a job they don't like. And everybody's different. So it's just kind of see the truth and accept the truth when we kind of get in some more mismatched situations. So the reason for the top rose reading is the change card, which has the car on it. So it reminds me of the Chariot, which is Cancer energy, about love. Love helps us give birth to new things. Love does give birth to new things. Loving ourselves helps us work through these issues that can manipulate us to love and believe in ourselves, to keep being inspired to change. The birds is Sagittarius energy, about higher learning, education, being inspired. And the death card is about death and transformation. I lived my life a certain way. I viewed life a certain way. I had my fears, my insecurities, or whatever. And I was inspired to see what doesn't move my life forward in the death card. And by seeing the truth of it and offering love to those things that aren't conducive to my life moving forward, I emotionally detach from those things, and then that transforms my life. I'm more investing in things and inspired to invest in things that are more aligned with truth and love and justice and fairness and motivated and inspired more to let love and intuition guide you than maybe fear or insecurity or pride or ego or lust or greed. And it's also the reason why the top rose reading came out. So we can get in relationships with people, and maybe how they want to move forward is different. And so then we're kind of not on the same page. We can know people, other people who are just and fair and loving and creative and inspired people, but kind of how we want to move forward and our kind of idea of the dream life can be different. And, even simple things like, I want to live in a small town, you want to live in a medium sized town, you want to live in a great big town, I want to have animals, you don't want to have animals. Um, I like to participate in these kind of social activities, you don't. It can be a lot of different things, and they can still be just and fair and balanced and loving people, motivated by love, but just kind of our truth of kind of what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, and kind of what inspires us or things that we love can be different. But some of the other people could harness this energy in a more shadowy way, where they try to present themselves as being more motivated and inspired by love, but that's not really the truth. And then later you kind of find out that it's not love that drives and motivates them. It's maybe more to get in friendships and relationships with people who might be more just or fair or balanced or loving in order to make them seem like they're that type of person. But that's not really the truth of who they are. And eventually the other people in their life kind of see the truth of it, that it is kind of maybe a little more an image they present, but is kind of in a shadowy Scorpio energy, a little more superficial and shallow. Or Scorpio energy too can be about repeating an old pattern. So, everybody's kind of happy living their life a certain way, and they have their idea of how they want to move forward, how they don't want to move forward. And some of the people, again, their idea kind of the dream life is to keep doing things the way they've always done it. And so, could some of them be more just and fair and loving? Yeah, but they have no interest of stepping outside their comfort zone ever. So it becomes kind of dead and stagnant over time. And you could have felt it had become more dead and stagnant. They could still think, this is great, we should keep doing this. And then there are people that just really are more superficial and shallow. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have short illness. This has red hair, and it looks like a young person. So the red hair reminds me of Leo energy. We can be a little bit more manipulated by our worldly egoic nature. We're still kind of focused on eating from the poisoned apple. We're not ready to accept that gift to free ourselves from some things. And we all have lessons to learn in life. And we all can be pretty caught up in these things of the world. We want to be in friendship. We want to be in a relationship. And those things can really kind of influence us. And, just like it could have influences other people, it's influenced all of us at times in our life. And we've all had some growing up and maturing to do, maybe even learning to love ourselves and believe in ourselves. Could be a very loving person, but maybe instead of being in relationship with people who treat you more the way you treat them, could always be trying to maybe change other people or something. But if this is just you, we have the fortune teller, the cross, the bear, and Lilith. So the fortune teller, I kind of view that as kind of what voice do we more listen to in our head? Are we kind of more manipulated by that voice in our head that tells us, you should do this and this will make you happy, and you should make your life about these things because you want to manifest these things? And the bear card in some decks can kind of represent mother energy, and that can be because we haven't learned to love ourselves, that we could be kind of looking to other people to love us, which to a degree we are looking for that in the world, but is part of that because we haven't learned to love ourselves. So kind of like when we were children. Hopefully, we had caregivers that were loving and nurturing to us, and friends and family. And we still could be more codependent on other people to provide that for us. And we haven't really learned to take over that role within ourselves. So we can be in a relationship with other people, enjoy that they're loving and encouraging and supportive, but we also take responsibility for being that type of person to ourselves. So, because shadowy energy can be that we are looking outside of ourselves for something to be the answer, and High Vibe Virgo is about doing this inner work to realize that the answer lies within us. So, learning to love ourselves, be our own best mother, father, coach voice, appreciate the loving people in our life, but not being so codependent on people outside of ourselves providing that to us, knowing that we can and do play that role within ourselves. Because otherwise there are people in the world who like to play that role in people's life, and they kind of want you to be more codependent on them. And I think we've all went through stages in life and getting in relationships with people that we are kind of more codependent on them to make us feel maybe more stable or grounded or balanced or loved, because we didn't know how to do that within ourselves, right? The only problem is that sometimes when we get in those kind of relationships where people like to play that role in our life, they do want you to stay more codependent, and they don't want you to kind of love and believe in yourself enough that you would want to move forward in life differently, because that would be a different type of relationship, and they like this type of relationship dynamic. So we could have all kind of been more caught up in ourselves, more caught up in the world, kind of look to these things in the world to be the answer, kind of like the answer to our salvation. I'm going to drink these things, eat these things, get in these relationships. I'm sure that is the answer to my problems, kind of in the cross card, right? And then that emotionally, that's what we invest in. And again, we could be loving people, but it's kind of playing that role in other people's lives, even when we could see that they harness this energy where they are maybe more aligned with their egoic nature, their worldly nature, things they indulge in to make themselves feel better. And then we can try to be a loving person in their life to try to get them to love and believe in themselves. To the Lilith card is also Scorpio energy, to help them work through those things, to help them transform their life, to try to encourage them to accept that gift, to love and believe in themselves and work through some of their pain or heartbreak or fears or insecurities. But if we get in relationships with people that already show us that something, maybe they're more immature, maybe they have other people in their life that don't want them to be more independent. Maybe they make their friend group or their original family group who a primary foundation in their life that they're not going to ever become more independent of. Or maybe in the cross card, they could be kind of full of themselves and kind of think they're the top of the food chain, and there is no higher truth or justice to aspire to. There is no higher truth than making your life about the world or them. And we can get in relationships with people like that. And if you're kind of more inspired by hope and faith and belief and love, that's kind of your truth. And you think isn't everybody motivated by hope and faith and belief and love? And if I offer people hope and faith and love, and if I get in a relationship with them, of course they would do this work within themselves to heal and grow and mature themselves and temper their ego or their fear or whatever it is. And they choose love. But everybody has free will. And they can choose, no, I don't want to do that. Can I like being in a relationship with you? Want to stay in a relationship with you? You be you, I'll be me. And let's just keep moving forward like that. Let me kind of operate more from my ego nature, and you be like a gift, loving and encouraging and supportive in my life. And that's their idea of the dream life. But they don't have an interest in doing this Virgo energy within themselves of doing that inner work to love and believe in themselves, work through their fears or insecurities, temper their more God complex, narcissist, shadowy, manipulative, prideful, immature, whatever it is. They're like, I'm okay with me being me. I'm okay with you being you. Let's keep moving forward in a relationship. This works for me. But the problem is eventually it doesn't work for you because you were hoping they would do that work within themselves. And if they don't do that work within themselves, you know, you would be willing to keep moving forward with them if they did, but they'd have to be more in their Virgo nature of their truth, being more invested. The Chariot, which this card reminds me of, is balanced, It needs to be more balanced. It needs to be just and fair. It needs to be motivated and inspired by love. Can there be love there? Yeah. But is it balanced or does it stay out of balance? And are they okay with it being out of balance, and don't really want to be more just and fair or grow up and mature themselves or be more independent or heal or grow and mature themselves? And I think we all have gotten in some more mismatched relationships because part of that is to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And there's all these different people in the world that have all these different ways of living life and viewing life and acting and behaving. And sometimes we're drawn to people, especially when we're younger, of people who can be quite different than us because that's very exciting. That could, with this, Leo is fire sign energy. So it's exciting, and we could even view some people like, wow, look, they're really different than me. And they might be more bold or brave or confident or whatever, or just live their life completely different, maybe a way I always dreamt of wanting to live my life, but I couldn't live my life that way. And then, so we can get in those more mismatched relationships. And if everybody is willing to do this work to heal and grow and mature themselves, you can have people in your life where you could be very different. Like one person could be very, one person could be a little more wild and crazy. The other person could be much more like stable and grounded, but you can kind of complement each other. And you do bring a different aspect into each other's lives than if you kind of were more around some people who are just like yourself. But it has to be where everybody has to be willing to kind of be just and fair and motivated by love. And there can be all sorts of different people in the world that can be very different. But if the truth is they are motivated by love, can you be very different? Have completely like different lifestyles and ways of dressing or ways of things that you enjoy doing, but you can still like each other and you can still be friends. Might be a little harder to be in a romantic relationship depending on how different you are. And because we kind of tend to like to hang out with people who kind of like to do the things that we do and where it's not clashing, like, well, I want to go do this, I want to go do that. And, if people can work it out, I guess if it's a romantic relationship, so long as everybody from a place of love, I appreciate what you bring to the table, you in turn appreciate what they bring to the table, realizing there are these differences and these different ways, like someone being more of an introvert and someone maybe being more of an extrovert. But it can help maybe bring a compromise. But with some people, your core truth, one being more motivated and inspired by love, one person maybe being more about themselves or about the world, it's probably not going to last because the driving, motivating factor is different, at a core foundational level of what the truth is. And so it can be hard for the people who are more motivated by love, it can be hard to detach from those people. Just like you could have people in your family, brothers, sisters, adult children, whatever, and you could love them, but you can be very different and you could feel like, and so with some of those people, we don't really hang out that much. Can I still wish them the best? They wish me the best. Can we have some clashing getting along because we could have quite these differences? And if we think someone isn't very just or fair or balanced or loving, a little bit more bossy or controlling or immature or full of themselves, or kind of think they should be the boss of our life in a way, that we should live life the way they live life, and we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that, and want us, that can be a problem. But we can still have love for those people, still want to move forward with those people. You just don't hang out that much because you can be very different, right? But high vibe energy is also willing to kind of stand up for yourself and your truth. And maybe, this card says Taurus, this card is Scorpio. Taurus can talk about our philosophy of life can be very different. How we view the world can be very different. What we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, what we kind of take pride in, or what the things we could invest in that we think makes us have a certain status or image or feel proud of ourselves could be very different. We could wonder why they invest in the things they do because we don't maybe feel like that wouldn't do that for me. But it really seems to do it for them. And they in turn could wonder, why don't you do this? And why do you do that? I don't find that very praiseworthy or something, whatever. They could think is boring or stodgy or reckless or whatever, right? So we have these different philosophies of life. And then Scorpio energy can be high vibe. People do want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships that are just and fair and balanced. And other people could be a little more caught up in the world, maybe a little more superficial and shallow. And some of the more shadowy people could be more intimidating, controlling, immature, full of themselves, think people should indulge them because they indulge themselves in these more immature or being full of themselves ways of being. And it's like, well, I'm not that caught up in you to the degree that you are, and I'm not going to make you like God in my life, and my life doesn't orient around you, and you can live your life whatever way you want to, and I hope you enjoy the people and the things that you invest your time, energy, and effort into, but that's not my truth. And, being willing to kind of stand up for your truth, respecting they have their truth. And sometimes that could be that we don't really hang around each other that much if it's hard to find a balance, if when we can come together with some of those people can treat each other in a more just and fair and balanced way, wonderful. If we kind of spend too much time together, maybe kind of some of those conflicts and differences start to bubble up, and then it's like, yep, I gotta go. We apparently have pushed the limit of how long we can be around each other at any given moment. And also, I do think that if we have some past wounding, it can be that we're still kind of in our ego about it. And Scorpio can talk about that those things are kind of buried beneath the surface. And we don't even realize how some of that wounding that we've had in our past could keep us repeating an old pattern. And we'll keep repeating it over and over until we kind of ding, 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 kind of see the truth that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was kind of in a relationship with someone who could remind me of someone in my life that I wished would have been maybe more just or fair or authentic or loving. and then kind of getting in relationships with people who might have some of those similar kind of ways of being, maybe not as obvious, but at a certain point in time, you can kind of see the truth of it. And it's kind of like in our ego trying to get in a relationship with someone who kind of subconsciously does kind of remind us of someone. And it's kind of in our ego that we want justice. The Chariot can talk about victory. I want almost to get in a relationship with someone who's like that. And this time, kind of in my ego, I want to win. I want this to work out the way I want it to work. But that's kind of trying to change someone who's showing us they do have certain traits and characteristics that we probably already know we don't care for. But because of this wounding, we can be drawn and attracted to certain people because it's kind of repeating that pattern, but this time hoping that it has a different outcome. And eventually, if you've gone through that experience and kind of seen the truth of it, and it also can be about getting out of your ego that I'm not going to try to change people anymore. I might see that I am kind of drawn and attracted to people for certain reasons, but now that I've kind of seen the truth of it, I don't want to be in relationships where I'm trying to change someone. I want to be in a relationship with someone who's already done that work within themselves to free themselves from some of those ways of being, who has kind of learned some of the same lessons I've learned at whatever stage of emotional maturity level I'm at. And if people show me that they have certain traits, characteristics, ways of treating people that I feel are kind of shadowy, I'm going to wish them peace and love. I can know them. They stay in the friend zone. And I'm not going to repeat that pattern. I have free will in the gift card to choose who I invest my time, energy, and effort into. And if people show me that they're hoping I'll kind of repeat this certain pattern of a relationship dynamic that I've already been in, and I've already maybe kind of healed from that. So now the short illness card is kind of reminding me of the Four of Swords of Libra energy. Again, can I wish other people peace and love and be a loving and encouraging person in their life? Yeah, but I'm going to kind of maybe, you know, keep my distance to a degree. You know, just like we have our shadow nature, we can all kind of love repeating a certain pattern, indulging in certain things. But high vibe energy, again, is about living life and enjoying life, but within moderation to maintain balance, that we don't give those things that we could like to indulge in too much power in our life, that it kind of tips our life out of balance and we make those things more important in our life. And people who are more caught up in the world could try to tempt us in our more worldly nature to make our life more about these things of the world. And it can even be, don't you want to be in a friendship and relationship? I'm willing to be in a friendship and relationship with you. But it's like, yeah, but I kind of see these certain traits or characteristics that you have. And though I might want to be in a friendship or relationship, I feel it's, trying to tempt me more in my worldly nature or my ego, or if I am right now going through a challenging time where I kind of am trying to heal from something in my life, other people then can try to kind of be the next shadowy person to be in a relationship with you. And it's like, and so some people could have people that trying to heal, not repeat past patterns, have already detached from some people who they know their truth is different, kind of what drives and motivates them is different. In our more shadowy nature, because we could want to feel better at any given moment in our life, shadowy energy can be more of taking action more out of our ego of wanting to feel better, and we go indulge in something to try to feel better. But if we've done that enough times in our life, we know that that isn't the answer. And some people have learned that lesson and they're not going to do that. They keep maintaining this kind of now reminding me like the Four of Swords, which is Libra, represented by the scales of justice. I'm going to keep maintaining balance within myself to not take more impulsive action. And if I definitely know something is more tempting me in my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego, or something, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep offering myself this gift of love. And High Vibe Virgo is offering yourself truth and love to love yourself. Even though emotionally there could be some people in your life that you could be attracted to, that you've been in a relationship with, that you do have maybe love for. And then it could kind of be listening, taking your time and listening to your intuition. And at any given moment, when we're in situations that we're moving forward with, everybody has that free will choice, any given moment, to decide to indulge their more immature nature in some way, or to maintain this balance within themselves and love themselves to keep moving forward, acting in a just and fair way. And everybody in friendships and relationships, I guess, depending on different things that could come up, could kind of battle with that. You know, maybe just people's own fears and insecurities. Is someone trying to manipulate me? Is someone being more immature? Are they trying to get me to indulge them in poor behavior? I need to maintain balance within myself, not get up in my head, but not indulge people in poor behavior just because I love them, because that kind of sets the ball rolling in that direction, right? And people who love you shouldn't be trying to see how much they can get away with. That would be shadowy people who tried to do that. So for some people who either just grew and healed and matured themselves, had a way of living life, were more caught up in these things of the world, they've kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently, could be detaching from certain habits, patterns, vices, people. They're moving forward in life a little differently. They've probably offered truth and love to some people in their life to see if those people want to move forward with them in that way. Some of those people will move forward with you in that way. Some people won't. And we kind of have to get out of our ego about it, that everybody is where they're at. Everybody enjoys kind of living their life a certain way, and when they're ready to move forward, they might move forward, and some people will never move forward, because some people are always just looking for a relationship to heal within. And they never plan to step out of their comfort zone. They never plan to move forward any differently. It's just to go from job to job, friendship to relationship, and it's all just a place for them to feel, and can enjoy being in relationships, because being in a relationship can make us feel more stable and balanced and loved, but they themselves never want to give birth to anything new. And so for some of the people like that, they can end up having people come into their life. But again, even a friendship or relationship, it's just like, we didn't stay 18 forever. We didn't stay 21 forever. We didn't stay 25 forever. Eventually, other people kind of are ready to kind of move forward in life a little differently. Like, this phase of life has been great. Let's go to the next phase of life. And then we have the main female, which I suppose in high vibe would be, to get the justice you deserve, holding the sword. So that could also be harnessing your Libra energy differently. I lived my life at this phase of life, but then as I lived my life at that phase of life, I could know that part of the reason I don't move forward, the moon can kind of represent fears. Let's just keep doing this because I have fear of stepping outside my comfort zone. I have fear of the moon in tarot is mainly represented by Pisces energy, but it rules Cancer energy. Pisces and Cancer are both emotional water signs, about having a little more hope and faith and belief in yourself and in love. And Pisces can be about these dreams that we have. Are we willing to kind of face our fears, to listen to our intuition, that the reason we could keep repeating a certain pattern is because of those fears that we have of, maybe looking for a different job, maybe if we feel a desire to want to kind of go do some different things, even if it's like, every weekend we do this, and every July 4th we do this, and, I just kind of like to do some other things. Does anybody want to go do something else? And, go see what else is out there, step out of our comfort zone a little bit, go try something different. And some people are like, why would we ever do that? We should always do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, So that's when it's like, I do want to go do something else. And then we have the manifestation card. And the manifestation is like Gemini and Virgo. And Gemini can be about love, because it's represented by the Lover's card. Out of love for myself, I don't want to keep repeating old patterns that seem kind of dead and stagnant. Can there be things about this and people in my life that I like and I love and I want to be in friendship and relationship with them? Yeah. But I also kind of, Sagittarius energy is fire sign energy of kind of looking at life as an adventure. There's so many things to explore and learn. And Sagittarius is about higher learning and education and philosophy. And, you could just be a more curious person than other people. And some of the people in your life are also, and other people aren't, you know? I know I'm a very curious person. I love that phones came out and now there's Google. It's like having a library at your fingertips, just all these things that anything that pops in your head, you can kind of look it up and start researching it, and just so interesting. And other people kind of maybe in their fire sign energy with, again, this card kind of reminding me of Leo because of the red hair. Fire sign in their fire sign energy, they're not really curious to change. Not maybe very curious. This card being Taurus, it could be I'm putting all my focus and effort, and what I'm inspired by is to put maybe all this work into having a certain status or image or wealth or stability. And Libra, this reminded me of Libra, and this being Taurus, that's kind of the Empress energy, what we want to give birth to. And some people have no interest in giving birth to anything different. I am happy making my life about me or these things of the world or the things I indulge in. I like my life the way I live it. I have no interest in doing life any differently. And that's fine. They just need to find other people who are like to live their life that way too. And it's like, I don't want to keep living my life that way. It's starting to seem a little dead to me. Nothing ever changes. We don't ever give birth to anything new. I could find it a little boring. How many times do you do the same old thing and the same activities year after year after year? So I think high vibe people offer people truth and love. They'd like to manifest with them. They like them. They love them. They don't want to stop moving forward with them. But we kind of have to be on the same page. And sometimes some people, it can really bother them when the other people in their life do kind of work through some things that kind of manipulated them, because then you kind of drop some baggage and you're not the same person that you are anymore. You did change. At any stage of life, we can get in a job, a friendship, a relationship with people, and we have a certain way. Taurus can talk, it kind of dictates the decisions that we make in our life, our own Taurus energy, because it talks about our philosophy of life, of kind of what we're motivated and inspired by at any time in our life, what we think is just and fair, what drives and motivates us, because that is the person that we are at that stage of life. But as we kind of change over time, which is what Scorpio, represented by the death card, is, we don't stay dead and stagnant. As we go through phases of life, we kind of Some people work through some things, at any stage of life. We had some fears, some insecurities, some pain, some heartbreak, some self-limiting beliefs. We can turn 18, 21, 25, for example, and we could meet different people, hang out with different people, do different things. Some of those things we find out, oh, these things aren't good for me. I need to quit doing these things. And then when we quit doing some of those things, again, some of the people in our life are like, why are you quitting doing some of those things? We still enjoy these things. Well, that's not working for me. It seems to be kind of running my life off into the ditch. Different strokes for different folks. Some other things we could just work through just being in a loving and encouraging environment. And we do some of that inner work to work through some of those issues. And then we're not the same person we were when we got in it. But some of the other people didn't do some of that work or heal or work through some of their issues, and they're still in this energy, and then they want you to be back in that energy. And it can cause some fear in people. Well, you seem to be more inspired to change. And for the people in the world who never do that work within themselves, the only reason why some of those people would do things differently could be for this more worldly reason. Like, there's certain people I want to hang out with, and if I don't look a certain way, dress a certain way, do certain things or activities, maybe those people wouldn't want to be my friends. So they can be very externally motivated. So then when other people seem to be changing, they could think that the reason you're changing is because of some external influence. And it could be that they think, and they could kind of get in their ego, which could be kind of being jealous or envious, that there must be someone else influencing you. Because you certainly wouldn't do this just within yourself, motivated and inspired within yourself to want to heal or grow or mature yourself, because they don't. And so then they think for sure you must be planning on even ending a relationship with them. And then that can get them in their ego, and that can get them up in their fear. And all of that kind of manipulates them, because they don't understand why you would do this work within yourself unless it was for some outside reason, because they are kind of not motivated within themselves to do that work unless someone kind of makes them or would require it of them. But you are motivated within yourself just to work through some of your baggage here and there periodically, to free yourself of it. I don't want to keep carrying around my pain, my heartbreak, my lack mentality. I don't like being more codependent. I don't like my fears more manipulating me. I don't like the world more manipulating me. But some of those people, they can't understand that. And for other people who are more like, could be a little full of themselves, kind of caught up in the illusion of themselves, and they could view themselves like, I have a certain status image in the world, I have a certain degree of charm or attractiveness, and for some people, it's all just up in their head, and they're a narcissist. And they're just kind of full of themselves, and they think everybody should want to be in a relationship with them. Or if they have more of these things of the world than some poor other folks they could view, you should be willing to be in a relationship and kind of indulge them in a relationship, and you shouldn't want for more. But again, it's like someone who wants to be God in your life, and you kind of give up your being your own individual, having your own dreams, your own inspiration, growing and healing and maturing yourself, because that's not the kind of person they want to be in a relationship with. And when you could have gotten in a relationship with some people, they could have just thought you were going to just make your life always just more about them. And maybe when you got in a relationship, at times we can get in relationships with people, we could think it's more just and fair. We don't really, they could be hiding. They really think it's just more about them. But so long as you don't see that, then it is like creating an illusion. So shadowy people can try to present themselves as more high vibe. Like that's emotionally, that's what they decided to do. I am more about myself, or I am hurt, or something didn't work out, but they really are more about themselves or these things of the world. But their idea is I'm going to create an illusion that I'm more motivated and inspired by love, that I've grown up and healed myself, and that try to get someone loving to get in a relationship with them. And so long as the people they get in a relationship with are kind of caught up in this illusion, living more from their mind than their heart, it's more of a strategy of presenting themselves that way. So long as you kind of buy into the illusion, well, then the relationship moves forward. And then they're in a relationship with someone who's more just and fair and loving and encouraging and authentic. And then it makes them kind of helps create the illusion that they're that type of person. But then for some of them, as the relationship keeps moving forward, eventually the people in their life who are more motivated and inspired by love, they don't stay the same. Over time, they're kind of ready to give birth to the next phase of life. And that's when, like they don't want to move forward that way because they're already faking the level they're at. How do they possibly fake kind of going to the next level of seeming to be more bold or brave or confident or healed or grown or mature when they're kind of faking the level they're at? And they're shadowy. The manifestation card reminds me of the magician. So both the moon and the magician can be about creating an illusion. One person is inspired from truth and love. The other one's trying to create an illusion. They're motivated by truth and love. And eventually the high vibe people realize, nothing's changing. Things aren't going to move forward. And that's when the other person could kind of do some more unjust, unfair, hurtful, unkind things in a relationship because they know you love them and they know you would like this to move forward and you don't want to end it. Like you want this dream to come into reality, and try to use the fact that you have love for them to keep you stuck here for longer than they should when they know they never plan to be motivated and inspired by love, come out from behind their ego, be more just or fair, temper their ego, quit being more about themselves or their fear or whatever it is. And the loving people in their life can be very patient, trying, not wanting to give up on it. But eventually, you can't keep staying in denial of the truth. If they were motivated to move forward in a more, to the next phase of life, where it becomes maybe a more deep, meaningful relationship, it just takes a relationship to the next level. And if it's not going there, that's when people kind of feel manipulated and kind of feel that the other people are just indulging themselves in the relationship. And they're happy with it continuing like that, but the other people aren't happy. If this isn't growing and maturing itself and continuing to move forward, and if people are kind of becoming more shadowy and being more deceptive or manipulative or prideful or stubborn, well, then that's not being just and fair and loving. And it can be really confusing emotionally to kind of work through that emotional confusion that someone isn't who you thought they were. And maybe at one time they were, but as people go down the path of life, they can kind of drift their life off into the ditch. And sometimes people can get spoiled in a relationship. You can be very loving and nurturing and supportive, and the other people start to think, kind of feel entitled to it, and think even that the reason you're that way is because of them. And you should be like that to them because, and it's like more thinking that you're that way because of them. And it's like, no, I'm that way because of me. That's who I am. Could being in this relationship and being in relationship with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive help me heal and grow and mature myself? But I made those free will choices. I decided to heal. But some of the people could kind of get a big head about it. Like, oh my gosh, well, I got this person to kind of heal or grow and mature themselves. Maybe I could go find other people to heal and grow and mature myself themselves. And then they could decide to end the relationship with people. Partly they could end it because, well, you now want to move forward differently. You don't want to keep doing this, and I don't want to do that. Or some of them kind of realize, yeah, I thought this is nice, and I could like you, and I could love you in a way, but I'm really kind of more about me or the world, and I don't know if this will have all those things of the world that I want. And then they're willing to sacrifice that to kind of be more manipulated in their more worldly, egoic nature and want to go get in relationships with people who are more on that page or thinking because they think you're the reason why you are the person that you are, that, oh my gosh, they could go do that with other people and other people who might be, whoever it is that they meet. I could go find someone else who needs to heal and grow and mature themselves, but maybe more about these things of the world. And maybe I can make those people heal and grow and mature themselves. Well, they were kind of not seeing the truth that, some of the people in their life who did heal and grow and mature themselves, again, we can provide a loving and encouraging environment, but the people that we're in relationship with, you know, have their free will to heal and grow and mature themselves. So, we can maybe to a degree take credit that we tried to provide a loving and encouraging environment, but what other people did with themselves, kind of like raising children, that's on them, you know? And either they do and are inspired within themselves to flourish in a loving and encouraging environment or not, you know? And that's their free will choice. But some people could have gotten a little full of themselves. And then some people can be where they could kind of get in relationships with people who kind of seem to be on the same page as them. But again, one is motivated and inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves. The other one isn't. And they don't keep moving forward. And it could be what we don't realize and what they might not realize. If they were ready to kind of move forward in life differently, they probably would. Just like any of us at any stage of our life, we've probably had more loving and encouraging, bold, brave, confident people in our life, and we didn't move forward with those people because we weren't there yet. And they really have to maybe work through some issues that still might kind of manipulate them. And it could just be being more manipulated by indulging themselves, their ego, their image, the world, other people in their life. And, we cannot like it when that happens. But part of the reason that could happen is because, like, God knows you're ready to move forward differently, and God knows that some other people aren't ready to move forward differently. So those things that could more manipulate them they might not even know, why did I let those things more manipulate me or those people? And it's like, because there is a part of them that isn't ready to move forward in that way, but you are. And so it kind of did happen to set you free from some of those people. But it can be painful. And so then you have to do this work to keep loving and believing in yourself, to not give up on your dreams, realizing my dreams aren't codependent on certain people being in my life. It's kind of codependent on working with people who are more on the same page as me at the same time. And some of the people that we could have, again, part of this process of helping us just get more clear about our truth as we go through life, we could have helped some other people work through something. They could have helped us work through something, and we don't even realize that that's why we were even kind of drawn and attracted to each other. But when it has kind of served its purpose of people kind of getting more clear, is this your truth? Isn't this your truth? And people are like, nope, that's not my truth. And the people where they were more on the same page as you, those people keep moving forward with you. The people who that wasn't their truth, they're going to move forward with people who are more on the same page as them. And everybody's going to move forward in a way that is kind of aligned with their truth that they have at any moment. And if we take the lessons we could learn from that situation, what did I like about it? What didn't I like about it? For some of those experiences forced us to have to do this work within ourselves to quit indulging, if you're a very loving person, to indulging people in more poor behavior and to quit repeating that pattern and love yourself enough to maintain balance within yourself that I'm not going to indulge people in poor behavior. If they want to move forward with me in a more just and fair way, they can. If they don't, then I wish you peace, but I'm going to kind of keep my distance from you. So kind of learning to stand up for yourself, or even some of those experiences that we went through made us work through our own fears and insecurities about loving and believing in ourselves. And it forced us to get out of that more codependent energy and do that work to love and believe in ourselves. And all of those things helped us detach from working through some things that used to manipulate us, either our more immature nature, our fearful nature, our codependent nature, indulging in things of the world to feel better. And as people work through that emotionally, it's one thing to distance yourself from people, it's another thing to emotionally detach. And people can be at different phases of doing that, and we could know different people that we like or we'd like to get to know more. And some people are still trying to work things out with some more mismatched situations. Some other people are just in the process of staying away from things that aren't aligned with their truth and doing this work within themselves, but they haven't emotionally detached from it yet and don't want to get more involved with anyone until they have, and then other people have done that and they're ready to move forward. So again, kind of being at different stages of the process of these different cycles that we go through in life. But some people, they're ready to move forward and have a new beginning. They learn the lesson they were meant to learn. Other people are in the process of learning that lesson and healing. And other people maybe haven't even seen a need to change. They're still okay living their life the way they live it. But other people are like, yeah, no, been there, done that. I'm doing this, So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming? Some of the people in your life that you've been getting to know, some of you are going to the next phase of a relationship. With others, it's just people in your life. You're equally being loving and encouraging of each other to keep moving forward in your life together. And while you're doing that, other people in the world that you don't even know are doing that. And maybe as you move forward, quit investing your time and energy more into the people who've shown you your truth is not their truth. And as you move forward, you'll meet more of those people. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? We have a card not showing itself, and the reason is because of the King of Pentacles. I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. And high vibe people saw the truth. They saw through the illusion. They saw things that were manipulating them. They saw people who were trying to create an illusion. They saw people who were more immature or manipulative. They saw some people are in relationships and they're high vibe and the relationship's not going to work out. Okay, I accept the truth of it. I'm going to move on. You'll just be a good example in my life. And I see the people who are shadowy. You have freed yourself. You are who you say you are, is how I view the King of Pentacles, male or female. You are who you say you are. Internally, you're a Queen of Pentacles. You have learned these lessons. You have, again, if a person, for example, were 18, 21, or 25, you're just at an appropriate emotional maturity level for that stage of life that you're at. You're not trying to confuse people about the truth of who you are. You are who you say you are, and you have learned the lessons that people would expect from people at a certain age level, to have learned those lessons, and you have. And what some people don't know about you with this card, probably some of the people in your life or some shadowy people in your life, because shadowy people can try to present themselves as being in King of Pentacles energy too, like they're this just, fair, stable, grounded person who's learned these lessons in life, but they haven't. Some of those people think you're just creating an illusion because that's what they do. And they could think you're putting on a really good illusion because you could look very stable and grounded, abundant within yourself. The King of Pentacles, again, whether you're male or female, you would look like someone that people want to be in friendship or relationship with or hire for jobs or go into business with, because you're presenting yourself as kind of very stable, grounded, victorious, successful, high vibe, balanced, just, fair, inspiring, loving, nurturing. But what some people in the world don't know about you is, especially the shadowy people in your life, you're not creating an illusion. And what you've done is you've worked through harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way, which could have been what got you in certain friendships or relationships before. And when you detach from harnessing that in a more worldly, shadowy way, you knew that meant you detached from some of these people, because it was this kind of, to some degree, harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way is what kind of kept you in those relationships. What is it? The Star card. And in your Aquarius energy, just like the rest of us in the world, we can get really caught up in the world. The Star card can be, there's these things I want to manifest in the world, and that's my idea of the dream life, and I think that's living the dream. And you're less caught up in being manipulated by those things of the world and the dream life that of certain things that you used to look at as a way of like living the dream life. And what they don't know about you is you harness your Aquarius energy differently. And they could still be people who are still kind of more caught up in those things of the world. And you look at life from a higher perspective. And I view high vibe Aquarius as, so you cut out people who you think harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn, Aquarius energy, Taurus, Libra, Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Cancer energy, because you harness those energies in a more high vibrational way. But I view high vibe Aquarius as having hope and faith and belief in yourself, in your dreams, in love. Look at life from a higher perspective. Think there's more of a purpose to being on this planet than just making our life about ourselves and these things we indulge in the world. It's about trying to help the world be a better place, shining your own authentic light in the world, trying to help other people heal and be a loving and encouraging person in the world. And, some people are quite shadowy, that they'd be like, kind of like, why would I want to be loving or encouraging or give someone their flowers or congratulate them or whatever? They're the competition. because they're kind of all pretty much all about themselves, and they want to be the center of attention and have it be all about them. And, other people are more giving and loving and can appreciate they can't do everything in the world. And they're appreciative that other people are good at their jobs and have their unique talent, skills, and interests. And they're not more jealous and envious and petty, and some people are. So you look at life from a higher perspective, you're less manipulated by these things of the world. Some people in your life that at one time you did view them maybe as someone your dreams could come into reality with, you don't anymore. Some of those people don't know it. Some of the people who are still kind of full of themselves, again, can be more like, oh, I'm sure I'm manipulating and deceiving them, and oh, I'm sure that they won't love and believe in themselves. Some of those people don't realize you've already moved on emotionally, and they're still sure that they're manipulating you and that you're in your ego about them, and that any day now you're going to come back. And it's like, no, I already saw through the illusion. I know the truth of who you are. Every day I'm taking action on my truth, and every day you're taking action in your truth, which I might not think is very just or fair, or it's manipulative or prideful or egotistical or immature, is another day I see that you're not the type of person I thought you were, and I've let go of that dream. And I'm moving forward with people who really are who they say they are, who aren't creating an illusion. So you could be getting in new friendships, new jobs, new relationships. Some of you could be getting married, but you're definitely working with people who are more stable, grounded, and authentic and mature than some of the people you had been hanging out with. Because those are the people that, going to that next stage of life, looking for other people who aren't repeating some of these old patterns or ways of living life or viewing life, who have also been enlightened to the truth, who have tempered their ego and their fears and their more shadowy nature. Those are the people to go on that next journey with. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? Oh, I have two small tarot decks together, and so we got the Emperor and the Emperor. And the reason is because of the King of Pentacles. Well, for one thing, what they don't see coming is that the people in the world who do free themselves, and it's kind of interesting because the Emperor is about the self, and some of the shadowy people they're kind of like a bad mother to themselves. They indulge their more egoic, immature nature. And again, are sure that making their life more about these things of the world, or making it more about them, or being consumed with themselves, maybe trying to control and manipulate people, is the way to go. But what they don't see is that the people in the world who are willing to deal with the truth and work through their fears and insecurities and love and believe in themselves, those people move forward, and those people really look like the Emperor could be like looking like a boss in the world. And those people are going to get in relationships with other people who look like a boss in the world. And High Vibe, the Emperor, is about having learned all these lessons in all four suits of the deck, knowing that all four of them are equally important: your heart, your mind, your creative, passionate nature, and your worldly nature. And some people, this is Taurus, kind of view this as, what was it? Libra and Leo, which is kind of about ego, which is what this row can be about. Libra, Leo, Taurus. Let's see, the 12th house, I believe, is Pisces. kind of caught up in the illusion of the world, kind of making the world your God or making yourself God, not thinking there's any higher truth or justice to aspire to, and maybe thinking you're so smart, defensive to listening to their intuition. They keep thinking they're the boss, they don't have to grow or heal or mature themselves. They keep listening to their more emotionally defensive, egoic nature. And while they keep doing that, thinking, no, I need to work with these things of the world. That's the way to manifest what I want to manifest. The other people listen to their more creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature, listen to their intuition, and those people are going to look very successful indeed, and very stable, grounded, mature. Those people we're willing to work with, which is what the magician works with, all four elements are equally important. And the shadowy people are more inspired in their fire sign energy by the world. No, I need to work with these things of the world. And so they could not listen to their more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired, loving nature because they don't trust listening to their intuition. And other people do. When their intuition tells them, I shouldn't do this anymore. I should detach from this and move forward. And they're like, no, 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 I'm sure this is going to work. And they keep doing things over and over and over that probably keep showing them over and over, this is not moving you forward the way you think. No, 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 that must just been the wrong person. I'm sure this is the way to go about it. And they keep going about it the same way they keep trying to go about it. And it probably keeps not working out the way they want, but they refuse to maybe take more creative, inspired action in their life, in truth and love. Because again, in high vibe, the pentacle is about truth and love. But they think, no, 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 it's not truth and love, and I don't have to listen to my intuition. No, 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 I'm sure I got the right answer. I'm going to keep doing it the way I think I should do it. And people could keep doing that forever, or they could keep being full of themselves. They could keep being sure if I have a certain status or image in the world, or I look a certain way, or I have a certain social clout, I'm sure that will get people to want to be in friendship and stay in relationship with me. Well, people can get in relationship. We can all be attracted to people who kind of present themselves a certain way, but eventually the more high vibe people leave. Because they see that's what the people have to offer. What they have to offer is more just these things of the world. Like, I'll have sex with you. Look at how attractive I am. Look how much money I have. Look how much social clout I have. Look at whatever, But they don't really do love. And they try to tempt people more with these things of the world that they have to offer people. And they could be really surprised that, because they think this is the way to go about it. And they could have thought some other people were silly and immature to have more hope and faith and belief in themselves and weren't willing to stay in a relationship with them and do things the way they do things because, of course, they've decided that's the just and fair way to go about it, and that's how people should live their life. And the people who were more motivated and inspired to love and believe in themselves and invest in their truth, those people are going to transform their whole life and maybe transform the life of others because they're being a good leader in the world, motivated and inspired by truth and love. And they're kind of trying to get people to view them as being that type of person by presenting themselves as that type of person. But it's just an illusion. It's not really motivated by love. It's like trying to get other people to be in relationship with them, and they might get people to be in relationship where they also to a degree look like a boss in the world, and get people to be in relationship with them, but it's more maybe because of these things of the world. if certain people have a certain status or image in the world or attractiveness or social clout or whatever, yeah, there's going to be people who are willing to be in a relationship with them, but that might be why they're in the relationship with them. More from ego or fear or insecurity or codependency, and the other people are in it because of love. And I think it'll kind of have them in their ego because whether they want to see the truth of it or not, they know that some of the people in their life were just and fair and loving and encouraging people. And they were either jealous or envious or didn't think that would get them what they want. And they end up kind of always being in their ego, which can be competitive energy, jealous and envious. Jealous and envious of other people who don't make their life more about conforming to the world, and a shadowy Taurus relationship can be where it's not really just and fair and balanced and motivated by love. It's where people can indulge each other in a relationship to kind of maintain the relationship more for the status or the ego or the image of it. And that could be the truth of their foundation. More inspired by the world. Some just want to be in a relationship, then not willing to get out of a relationship because high vibe Virgo is about being more independent and they're more codependent. So they could get in relationships with other people who they could feel might be a little full of themselves or try to control or manipulate them, but they in turn can be a little full of themselves or stubborn and try to control and manipulate each other. And it could be kind of a competitive type relationship, possibly. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.